The town of Redruth sits beneath the granite heights of Carn, Brea and Carn-Marth and was formerly the largest and richest metal mining area in Britain. During the 1850s, 2/3 of the world's copper came from Redruth.
The mines produced vast profits, but working conditions were very poor. Life was cheap, and miners were lucky to reach their 40th birthday. Mining declined in the 1860s, and by 1880, 2/3 of the Cornish miners had emigrated to the mining areas of America, Australia and South Africa.
Today, Redruth is a picturesque and thriving market town that combines a wealth of Cornish culture, history and unique architecture, together with a wide range of interesting shops and places to eat. To help you find all the places of interest, there's a free town guide, together with several town trails to follow. Redruth has excellent public transport facilities with a mainline station and numerous bus services right outside. Coupled with ample car parking, Redruth couldn't be easier to visit.
Now, if you're interested in Cornwall's culture and history, then this is the place to visit, the Cornwall Centre. This is Cornwall's largest library of Cornish printed and published items. Books, magazines, maps, photographs, and a whole lot more can be found inside. Now, Kim, the Cornish Centre is home of the Cornish Studies Library. What sort of things does the library offer?
Okay, well, all kinds of things. We're a very special library, part of the Cornwall Council library service, but really just covering everything we can about Cornwall, not just its history, but the geography, the mining industry, archaeology, folklore, the Cornish language, anything you can think about Cornwall, we would try to collect books and material on.
Now, the word library implies books, but you have got much more than just books here.
That's right, there's a lot more here. I mean, one of the most interesting sources we have are the Cornish newspapers. We've got 30 different titles altogether. Papers like the West Briton go back to 1810, and we have that here on microfilm. Papers like the Cornish Guardian from 1901, and the Cornishman goes back to 1877. So there's a huge opportunity for people to read newspapers from the past, and then we buy the new ones each week, and then have a programme of putting them onto microfilm. And then photographs play a big part in the collection here as well. Thousands of images, not just of the Redruth area, but the whole county. So a good place for people to come to look at those as well. We often have school children coming in for class visits to learn about their town or about the mining industry in the past. People come to use the computer facilities of all ages. We get students doing dissertations and thesis on all very complicated aspects of Cornish history and Cornish life, and then lots of people do their family history as well. So, and again, they can be young or old, inspired by TV programmes to come and find out about their ancestors, and we can help with that as well.
Now, there are many ways to illustrate Cornwall's history, but none as remarkable as the Tregellas Tapestries. And tell me how these amazing tapestries came about.
Well, they were the brainchild originally of Rita Tregellas Pope. She was a Cornish bard, And what she really wanted to do was to create a Cornish centre, a heritage centre that would promote all things Cornish, music, art, games, history. And the first stage of that was going to be a tapestry. Well, I think, to be quite honest, that the word tapestry is a bit of a misnomer because, as you can see, they're not needlepoint or as you think of Brea tapestry. They are much more exciting than that. They involve a lot more techniques of embroidery, painting, collage, quilting. They developed over the years, and it took 3 years to do, 38 embroiderers in all. And of course, when they'd finished the panels, they then had to be framed, which was a very expensive task. If you think of Cornwall and its history, I think we've more or less covered everything, as you say, from prehistoric times to present day, with sports and rugby and the playing to the Scilly Isles and things like that. And also we've got things to interest all walks of life. You know, we've got sort of the usual fishing, farming and mining, and then there's smuggling and saints and legends, and the children love those, so it appeals to a lot of people.
How many are there in total?
There are 58 altogether, and they form a trail from here through this Cornish Studies Library, downstairs, and they finish up in Market Way.
All Cornish men have known that the name of William Murdoch stands alone.
The inventor William Murdoch lived in this house from 1782 to 1798. Here he invented gas lighting, and in 1792 it became the first house in the world to be lit this way. The house, later named Murdoch House in recognition of his achievements, is now home to the Cornish Global Migration Project. Juliet Jenkin, you're project manager of the Cornish Global Migration Project.
Yes, we're very fortunate in Murdoch House to have this database which records all Cornish-born migrants who left Cornwall for all corners of the world, and trying to fulfil that expression at the bottom of every mind, there's a Cornishman.
How did this huge migration come about?
It was to do with the depression in the mining industry, and there wasn't the employment here, and there was already a lot of people overseas, and they sent home letters saying, "Come on, boy, there's jobs out here." And some went on their own and left their families behind. Some wives did go and didn't settle very well, but others set up places like bed and breakfast places to care for the Cornish miners when they were in the States or Australia or wherever they settled.
That must have changed Redruth tremendously at that time.
Oh, it did, because if you look at the census and a lot of the records there are rows of houses, especially here in Redruth, that just have listed wives, and also it says the husband's gone overseas, and whether some of these men returned or no, we don't know. They sent home money, but yes, they led separate lives, a lot of them.
You say your project is tracing these miners who migrated. How many have you tracked down so far?
We have, at this current time, 40,000 names on the database, and they've all been given to us by people who are interested in the project. But there must be 1 million out there, and we just want those names given to us. But we depend on the public to support us completely and utterly. We do it by word of mouth.
Now, before I leave you, William Murdoch also did something else special in this building, didn't he?
Yes, it was in this building that, in the basement of the building, which is now all covered in, but his home, he lived in this property. And in the basement he carried out all of his experiments, and one of those was to make the the Murdoch Flyer. A model of which is in the town museum, but the full-size model, which has been made by the Flyer group, is in the Market Way in the town centre. Oh yes, very important house this is. Holds a lot of information.
And Jimmy talk of Faraday and his embarking Pimpernel, or 100 other pioneers that everyone knows well. But in a land that's short on heroes, all Cornish men have known, the name of William Murdoch stands alone.
On the edge of town, at the foot of Carn, Brea, lies the parish church of St. Uni. This has been a Christian site since the 6th century. Most of the present church was rebuilt in 1786, but the tower dates back to 1495 and is from the original church. The churchyard contains the graves of many emigrant miners who died overseas.
Councillor Barbara Ellenbrook, as town mayor, Redruth is obviously very special to you, but why is it special for visitors?
What makes it special for visitors is the fact that it's a very historic town with some very beautiful architecture. Redruth has been established as a town here since before the Middle Ages. St. Uni Church was established at the bottom of Carn, Brea in the 6th century, and Redruth was a stopping off point for pilgrims who were going down towards St. Michael's Mount. So the town itself has been here, as I say, for a very long time. And as you walk around the town, you will see the different ways in which the architecture reflects those times. There's a medieval part of the town, and much more significantly now is the Victorian part of the town. As you look up Fore Street, for example, and look up, don't look down, look up and look at the buildings, you will see that that reflects how rich Redruth was in times gone past.
So a tremendous amount of history, but what about the future for Redruth?
The future for Redruth is that we need to build on the history that we've got. We are working towards putting in things like developments in what we call the Redruth Corridor, which is the land along Foundry Row past the old brewery, which unfortunately is not working anymore, into the main part of the town. And we also have already facilities here for visitors like the Cornish Studies Library and like the Global Migration Project, which we feel are so important and we want people to take interest in. Most visitors, and I run a business in the town, so I speak to quite a lot of our visitors, say what a beautiful town it is, and I think this is something we need to build on, and we need to celebrate and enjoy the fact that we have got a beautiful town.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! On behalf of Redruth Town Council, I welcome all visitors to Redruth and hope that your visit is a pleasant one. Turn Vicken!
So we hope this will encourage you to visit our picturesque town. A unique combination of Cornish culture, history and architecture, coupled with a fine selection of shops, means Redruth has much to offer the visitor and is definitely a town worth exploring.